Namaste, I'm Sreyashi Dey, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the next event of the Rasa Festival as we continue through the new year. For the festival, we have curated a rich tapestry of programs, and in a slightly different format from previous years, we will bring them to you over several months, 1 to 2 events per month. It is a great pleasure and honor for us to present renowned artists from the US, India, and other parts of South Asia across a wide range of art forms such as dance, music, theater, film, poetry, visual art, and photography. Today, I'm very excited to bring to you one of my own performances, a new choreography in the Odissi style of Indian classical dance. This is a very recent and new choreography that was commissioned by the Spirit of Margari Festival in January. In this performance, I explored the rasa of viraha, or separation. Viraha is a complex emotional state, and I have worked on two aspects of it. In the first half, I have used verses from the Bhagavatam and contemporary verses of Sri Muralidhar Swami to express viraha in a bhakti or devotional context. That is the yearning of the devotee for the divine. In the second half of my piece, I have expressed viraha from a sringara or romantic love perspective. This is the love between the lovers, Radha and Krishna, immortal lovers in Indian mythology, expressed in a human form, but also eventually sublimated to divine love. I'm delighted that Professor Paroma Chatterjee, who's a professor of history of art at the University of Michigan, will join me in a discussion about the performance after the show. I want to thank Paroma for bringing her deep knowledge of art and performance to this discussion. As always, we are grateful to the Ann Arbor District Library for their wonderful partnership with us for the Rasa Festival. We hope to see you at the next festival event.
अजातपक्षा इव मातरं खगाः स्तन्यं यथा वत्सतराः क्षुधार्ताः प्रियं प्रियेव व्यूषितं विषन्ना प्रियं प्रियेव व्यूषितं विषन्ना मनोरविन्दाक्ष दिदृक्षते त्वाम् मनोरविन्दाक्ष दिदृक्षते तव विरहं विना दर्शनं दुर्लभम् तव दर्शनं विना जन्म व्यर्थम् तव दर्शनं विना जन्म व्यर्थम् त्वमेव मम प्राणधारः त्वमेव मम प्राणधारः त्वरया कुरु विरहं कटाक्षम् त्वरया कुरु विरहं कटाक्षम् तव विरहं विना दर्शनं दुर्लभम् तव दर्शनं विना जन्म व्यर्थम् त्वमेव मम प्राणधारः त्वरया कुरु विरहं कटाक्षम् त्वरया कुरु विरहं कटाक्षम् कथं मम लभ्यं तव विरहं कृष्ण कथं मम लभ्यं तव विरहं कृष्ण तव विरहं कृष्ण तव विरहं कृष्ण तव विरहं कृष्ण यमुना तीर वानिरनिकुञ्जे मन्दमास्थितम् प्राह प्रेम भरोद्भ्रान्तम् माधवम् राधिका सखी साविरहे तव दीना साविरहे तव दीना माधव मनसि विशिख भयादीव माधव मनसि विशिख भयादीव भावनया त्वयि लीना भावनया त्वयि लीना साविरहे तव दीना साविरहे तव दीना चन्दनम् इन्दुकिरणम् अनुविन्दति खेदम् अधीरम् निन्दति चन्दनम् निन्दति चन्दनम् इन्दुकिरणम् अनुविन्दति खेदम् अधीरम् प्राणामाति माकारम् अधो विनिध्याय प्राणामाति माकारम् अधो विनिध्याय करे च शरं नावच्युतं सा विरहे तव दीना सा विरहे तव दीना प्रतिपदं इदम् अपि निगदति माधव तव चरणे पतिताहम् त्वयि विमुखे मयि सपदि सुधानिधिरपि तनु ते तनु दाहम् त्वयि विमुखे मयि सपदि सुधानिधिरपि तनु ते तनु दाहम् सा विरहे तव दीना सा विरहे तव दीना सा विरहे तव दीना सा विरहे तव दीना सा तव दीना
We just watched a wonderful performance by the renowned Odissi dancer, Sreyashi Dey, which is about viraha nimagna, which literally means, and I looked this up in the translation, it literally means being submerged in or immersed in separation. So Sreyashi, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of viraha, or this idea of separation in Odissi dance in general, and perhaps a little bit in this particular performance as well?
Yes, sure. Firstly, thank you, Parama, for joining this discussion. And it's just wonderful to be able to talk about the performance, because oftentimes we do the choreography and the performance, and there isn't an opportunity to actually talk about what went into it. And there's a lot that goes into it, as you know. In fact, it takes much longer to prepare the performance, and then the performance, the nature of performing arts is such that it happens in time and then it's just gone. I mean, it's different now in the digital world where performances stay on, but otherwise in live performances are just so ephemeral. So it's wonderful to be able to talk about what went into it. So so my performance was about viraha, which is the mood and the emotion of separation. And the idea is that, as we know, rasa, or the essence, is really the basis for Indian art. And the objective of all Indian art forms is to create that and evoke that feeling of rasa in the minds of the audience. And as the performer is doing that, in the highest stage, the performer and the audience are connected in this shared feeling of rasa. And if the performer has been able to evoke that, then that moment where they're connected, it's called sahridaya, which means their hearts are connected. So it's evoking of that rasa. So there are, 9 different rasas. I think we're all familiar. It's called the Navarasas. There are 9 rasas. And sringara is one of them, which sringara is typically thought of as romantic love between, two people who love each other. And so the corollary of sringara, which is love or union, is separation. So there can be no union without also, there have to be 2 entities for there to be a union. And whenever there are 2, there's also this concept of separation, because 2 are not one, or the non-dual. So the dual and the non-dual have to exist. So viraha is the emotion of separation, and it's extremely important in the expression of all these classical art forms. So as I mentioned, sringara, which is the romantic love, but in the medieval period, there was this emergence of the so-called bhakti movement, which is the devotional movement, and that brought in an aspect of divinity into this rasa, because the sringara, or romantic love, in the bhakti movement got sublimated into love for the divine. So then the 2 entities became the divine and the devotee, and not just 2 lovers. So the love in the heart then got directed from the devotee to the divine. But interestingly, I think there is also this concept of the divine seeking the devotee, which means the divine is also at times separated from the devotee, and the divine is also yearning for the devotee and for that union, because that union, that bliss, is considered to be the highest form of highest experience of the rasa of bhakti or sringara. So then what is this viraha, and why is it important? So it's not just important as just as an art expression of an artistic expression, but also because it is something that is sought after on its own. So, and why is that? That might sound a little counterintuitive, because don't we all want to attain our love? Don't we all want to attain the divine? So why would we even seek viraha? Why is it not something to be only overcome? Mm-hmm. So there's actually an interesting way to think about it. And, as I said, the medieval bhakti poets and saints, such as from the Gaudiya Vaishnava schools like Chaitanya and also Pushtimarg, they forwarded this idea that viraha is something that is to be sought after on its own. And why is that? So I think we're all familiar with Radha Krishna, the 2 characters representing not just the divine and the devotee, but also it's a metaphor for human love as well, but then it's sublimated to the divine state. So as I mentioned, it's impossible for there to be viraha without two entities, the loved one and this one, the two lovers. So the question is, what is the essence of this viraha? So for example, when Radha is separated from Krishna, it is said that she cherishes this viraha for itself, because when she attains the union with Krishna, there's only one entity. But when she experiences viraha, she sees Krishna in the entire universe. So there's a manifold expression of how she can experience Krishna, because she sees him everywhere. It's a very nuanced way of thinking about viraha from the Chaitanya Bhakti, the Gaudiya Vaishnava school. So again, as I said, if the devotee and the divine are united all the time, then the rasa is not variegated. The bliss of the union is the only thing that is experienced. At the same time, it is possible to experience many different hues of this rasa, which is only possible when there is also separation. So it gives viraha, or separation gives this variegated experience of lila or divine play. So it is said that the divine manifests himself or herself in union and also in separation. So it's like a play. Sometimes there is separation, sometimes there's union. So it's this beautiful lila or play where so many different emotions are experienced and enjoyed. So basically union is one rasa, but after the devotee and the divine, or the two lovers, are separated, they're also experiencing viraha. And it's this whole process of union, separation, and then reunion. And reunion becomes even more intense once the devotee or the lover has experienced the separation. So in my piece that I've performed, there are two kinds of viraha that are expressed, but we can talk about that. I think you might have some other questions about it, so
Yes.
we'll get into that in more detail.
Yeah, thank you so much. I find it so fascinating the way that you explain the balance of viraha, and how in a certain sense, by enabling this variegated sense of moods and emotions and forms, it almost becomes like an instrument of empowerment, maybe for someone like Radha, or even for the divine. And I found that a really fascinating concept about how the divine also longs for the devotee, which is maybe not something that many of us have thought about in that sense. So that was really wonderful. So I was wondering, which specific gestures or mudras, according to you, in your form that you have mastered, Odissi, which according to you are the most eloquent of this viraha, of expressing viraha?
Yeah, so as the gestural language of the Indian classical dances, that language is very rich, with a very elaborate vocabulary of hand gestures, and then facial expressions, and every part of the face is used, the eyes and the mouth, and different eye movements and different head movements, neck movements, every part of the body, the anga and the pratyanga, the main limbs and the sub limbs, and everything is used. So, and the hand gestures themselves, the single hand gestures and the double hand gestures, the samyuta and asamyuta hastas, they're used. So all this constitutes the angika abhinaya, the abhinaya through the body. And then, of course, there's the sattvika, which is the inner states that are conveyed as well. So in talking about angika abhinaya, I think you meant the gestures, like, visually what we are seeing. So, for example, in the choreography that I have done, you'd see Radha using hands like this, then this showing heart, Then there is reference to Madana, the Kamadeva, the god of love, or known as Cupid in Western terminology. So Madana, who shoots an arrow, and then Radha is that arrow pierces her heart. And then there are also gestures where she's languishing and she's sad, she's waiting for Krishna. So these, some of these, and of course, entire stories can be told using hand gestures and facial expressions. But these are few examples of how viraha is expressed.
That's beautiful, and they are so eloquent in a certain way, and I can just imagine the full panoply of gestures and expressions that come with that. But moving on from that, could you explain a little bit about how the first part of the dance differs in how it evokes viraha from the second part? Or is there a meaningful separation in the way we think about separation in it?
Absolutely. That, in fact, is the crux of the whole performance. It is an exploration of viraha in two contexts of bhakti and sringara. Now, as I mentioned, so bhakti and sringara, that is devotion and romantic love, they fall under the umbrella of love, just with a subtle difference in what kind of love it is. Bhakti is love which is directed towards the divine, and sringara is love in a more human form. But the sringara is also thought to be sublimated eventually towards the divine, so it also becomes bhakti at a certain stage. But so in my piece, I've started, it's an exploration of two kinds of viraha, one in the bhakti context and one in the sringara context. So I start with bhakti rasa. So it starts with a verse from the Bhagavatam, which is, verses that express bhakti towards Krishna. And after that, there is another set of verses I've used, which are more written in more contemporary times, but they both express the devotee's yearning for viraha, actually. The devotee is asking for viraha. The devotee wants to feel that yearning because it's such a rich emotional state to be in. And the idea is that only when viraha or separation is expressed, that the union can be truly felt. Because if union is the only thing we know, then we don't even understand the depth of it or the value of it. So union, as opposed to viraha or separation, is a much richer experience. So the devotee is asking for viraha, saying, dear God, give me viraha so I can experience it. So that is the first half. It explores the many shades of viraha for the divine, pining for the divine. In the second half, I've used verses from the Gita Govindam, Jayadeva's Gita Govindam, written in the 12th century. It's a text that is used very often in Odissi because it's from Eastern India as well, and it was written geographically in that area. Of course, the Gita Govinda verses are used all over India for many different dance styles, but and it's especially important in Odissi. So it's a different exploration of viraha, because here it starts with actually viraha of Krishna. Krishna is waiting and just languishing in the banks of river Yamuna. He's separated from Radha. He's pining for Radha as well. So this is an instant of the divine yearning for the devotee as well. But in this case, it is expressed as human love, as two lovers. So Krishna is waiting for Radha as well. And there is a Sakhi, or the friend, who is the mediator between Krishna and Radha. So the Sakhi, the role of that's of course another long discussion, but the role of the Sakhi is also very important in Indian philosophy, because Sakhi can be considered to be even the guru or the teacher, because she's the intermediate, she mediates between the two, and she directs them, and she tells them, do this, go there, he's waiting, and she interprets the different moods. So in this case, the Sakhi or the friend goes to the riverbank, finds Krishna like that, and she's asking him to go to Radha. She's taking him towards union, but in a very poetic way. As the whole Gita Govindam text is very poetic. She expresses Radha's condition. She tells Krishna that, look, she is pining for you, she's waiting for you. And what does she do? So there's a very full scope of imagination. In the first half, it's more literal. It's a more direct communication of the devotee and the divine. But in the second half, that viraha is expressed very poetically and by the Sakhi. So it's not Radha directly expressing her viraha, feelings of viraha, but it's through the Sakhi. It is reaching Krishna through the Sakhi. It's being mediated that way. And the Sakhi takes all poetic liberties to express what Radha is doing, how she is languishing, how she... So, I could give you a few examples of how beautifully it has been imagined and poetically expressed. So Radha says to Krishna that, so Radha's, the Sakhi says to Krishna that Radha is waiting. She is so distraught that even the rays of the moon, the cooling rays of the moon, burn her. She is cursing the sandalwood paste, which usually people apply to cool themselves and to beautify themselves. And she's saying she's cursing the sandalwood paste. She does not care for it anymore. The cool breeze is as if setting her on fire. The breeze that is coming from the mountains, where the trees have different snakes coiled on them. It's as if the breeze is bringing the poison to her. In your absence, this is how she feels. She's making paintings of you. She's imagining you as Kamadeva, or the god of love, who's shooting arrows that make her so distraught. They pierce her heart and make her so distraught. So these are some examples of how she describes. And at the end, she says, Krishna, go to Radha. She's facilitating that union. So in the first half, as I said, a very direct exploration. In the second half, a very subtle, nuanced, poetic exploration of viraha in the Sringara Rasa.
I see. That's really fascinating. And just the amount of imagery that can come by the mediation of the Sakhi, as you said, as this figure who's, in a way, expressing and leading the loved ones to each other it can be just phenomenal in terms of the kinds of imagery, bringing in landscape, different facets of the landscape, of the body, of states of mind. This is really very expansive in many ways, it seems. So to round up, can you tell us maybe a couple of your favorite lines from the verses that you chose, because I presume you chose them to choreograph around, and which were the ones that really struck you and caught your imagination?
So, the Gita Govindam is my absolute favorite text to work with. So it's hard to even pick and choose which ones, because I feel like almost every line is so full of rich imagery and expression and the imagination. And it's just amazing how this one emotion of love can be explored in so many different ways and so many other things. So yeah, one thing I did want to mention is that there is this concept of the sthai bhava and the sanchari bhava in our Indian art forms and in classical dance. So the sthai bhava is the more permanent emotion. In this case, it is love and separation, but the Sanchari Bhava are the explorations of that, that gives the poet as well as the performer to explore in many different ways the same emotion. So that's where the imaginative, the poetic license comes in. So for example, so Radha is separated from Krishna, so she's feeling separation, Sai Bhava. The Sanchari Bhava would be, she is then drawing a painting of Krishna where she's imagining him to be the god of love. Or she's looking at the moon and she's saying, the moon rays are burning me. So these are the Sanchari Bhavas. What does she do? She goes and she plucks a flower and then she throws it away because she cannot bear the fragrance of the flower in separation. So these are like the Sancharis, the peripheral, the ways of exploring it. So one line which, I might say is one of my favorites in this Ashtapadi of 8 verses is in one of them, Jayadeva writes that Radha is feeling like, she says, Tvai vimukhe mai sapadi sudha nidhi rapi tanute tanu daham. So basically this means that, in separation, she's saying that Krishna, as soon as you become indifferent to me, as soon as I'm separated from you, even the moon god, Chandra, and moon is considered to be this sweet, has this very sweet presence. So he's saying that even moon, who has the sweet nectar, holds the sweet nectar, even moon begins to shower fire upon my body. Tanu daham, it means my body is burning. So, so this very lovely way of interpreting how the moon is, this cooling, sweet presence, but sets her body on fire. So it's this contrast and this duality in this also. The duality that is very imaginatively evoked is one of my favorites.
I see. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for this very rich discussion that has brought in so many different concepts and images, actually, to someone who is an art historian. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Paroma. And it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you, somebody with such a deep knowledge of art and art history, and your interest in the Indian art forms and especially performing art forms. It's just a great pleasure. And I want to thank you for joining in this discussion and especially talking about one of my favorite performances. So thank you again.